Hello everyone, my name is Vasit and I am going to present the demo of the project DevTools Studio. Initially in this video I will only discuss just a brief overview of the project and later I will discuss all the technical aspects one by one in detail. This is the landing page. You can refer this info or these snapshots or these links for more info. This is snapshot. This is contact us, sign up, sign in, forget password, and related to it there is also one more screen, that is reset password screen, and few screens that is only accessible when you sign in. This is the dashboard screen and this is settings screen. And if you are end user, if you see your role is only end user, but there are like two more roles as well, that is admin role, and there is also one more role, that is super admin. Super admin will be only one and admin can be many. As of now I have only worked on this functionality for end user only. So okay, let me first start with the problem actually I was trying to solve in this project. Was some of the emails which usually we send, I have found they are of like repetitive in nature, right? Let's say for example, if we want to send some promotional emails or marketing emails or anything related to it, or mostly let's say if you are looking for a job, maybe you want to like send emails to CEOs, HRs, or like some team leads for job hiring, right, related to it. So in that case what usually we do is, let's say maybe we create some email template and let's say we send to someone else, and then again let's say if today I have to send the email back, maybe I will like copy paste and then send to someone else, or just maybe tweak it a little bit and then send again. So in that case actually what I have tried to simplify this process as well a little bit. So in that case what you can do is, let's say if you have, or maybe in some cases usually people want to send emails but from their different account. So in that case what you have to do traditionally, that you can, let's say you will log in from your one email ID and then maybe switch to your different email ID and then again send it from there. So so in this DevTools Studio project, there is one functionality in which you will add your SMTP credentials of multiple email accounts and then send it directly from here. You don't need to log in, log out, or log in, switch to your different email accounts. So this is one thing. So you can add credentials here. Let me add my personal Gmail account SMTP credentials. Let me open my Gmail account. You can go here in the security and search app passwords. DTS email, DTS email automation. Don't worry, I will delete this as remove. Copy. I will use SMTP credential type. As of now I am only supporting this type of credentials. Maybe later I will also support OAuth type credentials. Name can be, usually it's your email ID, but you can use anything. So the email ID is wasit@gmail.com. Host for Gmail is smtp.gmail.com. Port Gmail uses this port 587 and passes which I just created. Let me submit it. So I have added my SMTP credentials. I can add, let's say, for my different accounts here, and these are the email template which you can also add. Let's say you can add email template name, subject for the email which you are going to send. There's a salutation, body, closing, and signature. I have already actually used ChatGPT generate a few email templates. So you can maybe use this, or you can create your own email templates. File attachments are optional. These are actually saved on AWS S3 bucket. Let me choose one. Let's say I will select this one. Okay, yes, there is validation. Let me choose this one. So this is actually stored on AWS S3 bucket. And one more thing, this whole project is actually running on AWS EC2 instance, and on there it is actually running the Docker containers. So let me, for this whole functionality to work, you should have at least to edit one credential and one email template at least. The attachments are optional. So let me go back here. Let's say I will select any one email template. Let's say this one. I want to send it from my this email account, right? Because I have only added one credential as of now. So there are the credentials. Let's say if I want to send it right now, so it means actually delay is 0. But let's say if I want to send it, let's say tomorrow, or like after 3 or 4 days, I can use this time schedule. Let's say as of now, right now it's 23/11/1. Let me use 11/2 is not possible. I think 12/3 is good. 11/3. I will you from to whom you want to send it. It can be any email ID. Let me send to my another email ID. wasit-shafi786@gmail.com. So if you want to change it, you can just edit it here as well. Here or here you can directly edit. You can directly edit here. This is the live preview. Let's say let me as of now edit only this part. Also one more thing here, I am using the data list to populate all this, and data list is actually also data list that okay, not here. Actually in all this there is data list, but let's say here I am also using the set, so that to generate all the unique salutation. Maybe you want to use salutation of different email template, you can use that as well. Because as of now, let's say I have 10 email templates, but I have only 5 or 6 unique salutation for all those email templates. I can use this as well. So let me select some attachment. Let's say I want to send this Stoneman, and let's say this resume. Time is, I think, invalid. It will be invalid because it's already 11/3. Let me try it. Yes, because schedule time can't be like less than current time. So it should be now 11/4. Okay, I have to like wait approx 30 minutes, 30 seconds, more or less, because the time is actually the EC2 instance, time on EC2 instance, which is actually the UTC time. Let me check my inbox. Okay, yes, I have received one email. I will show that as well. So you can see here. Okay, sorry. You can see here I have received the email. this, if you see, just now I have received the email which was actually sent from the DevTools Studio project. And this account is this wasit-shafi 786, right? And I have actually sent it from this email. I have sent that from this email, right? I have sent from this email ID to this email ID, right? This is the send section. Okay, let me move it first. So this was the basic demo. So there are there are a few screens which are not as of now completely done, but let's say maybe after some time I will get some time to work on these as well. Okay, let me go back to here. Okay, this is done, this part, and the overview of the front end backend tech stack. So in front end I have used Angular and NgRx. NgRx is basically combination of Redux and RxJS library. For styling I have used Tailwind CSS, and for as a component library I have used AGUI and PrimeG because I don't want to waste not waste, I don't want to spend time on UI because mostly that's the job of the UI UX designer. At backend I have used Node.js, Express, and DB is MongoDB, and Mongoose is ODM. And for refresh and generating refresh and access tokens, I have used this JSON Web Token library, and Zord I have used for middleware as a middleware in backend. And one more thing, that as of now the validation is only done at in backend, not at the front end, but ideally that validation should also be in the front end, at least in the production application. Why don't we want to waste one API when we already know the input is invalid? So due to time constraints, I have not added validation in the front end. BullMQ is queue system that's built on top of Redis. So one of the core functionality it provides is that we can horizontally scale the architecture by adding more queues or more than one worker to execute the job. And other tools or libraries are node mirror for sending the email, and UA user agent parser JS for detecting the client. Actually, that part is actually used here. Okay, let me first start this. Docker I have used for containerization. For CI/CD I have used GitHub Actions, and for generating static map image. Okay, let me show one demo first. GUI API file I have used for this to generate this static map image with custom marker, and for detecting this device detail I have used UA parser JS library. And there is also like some details I have used to fetch for IP details, IP info details. For that I have used one more library, that is IP info. And preview is used for sending promotional transaction emails. And for infrastructure I have used AWS. Mostly I have used from AWS I have used EC2 instance and S3 bucket and IAM service. I was also planning to use SNS or SES, but for that I need domain verification to use in the production. So that's why I have switched to preview. Google reCAPTCHA is used for protection from automated bots, and there are also several other libraries I have used. I will discuss that one by one later in the video. Let me focus now on the architecture diagrams. So these are the architecture diagrams which you can refer. So this is the structure of the DB. Let's say you have signed up from you have signed up right now, or like you have added new credentials, or you have like added your email templates or attachments. Okay, let me show the demo as well. This is the DB, right? So these are the email templates for the production DB. This is the structure. For credentials, let me refresh because there should be at least one. This is the credential which we just added. For attachments, there should be some attachments, and for users there will be, I think, 1 or 2 users only in the production. So this is the related to that. And one more thing, that is how the flow is from sending a request to getting a response back at front end. So first of all, I have like had some middlewares mostly related to security. Let's say I have helmet middleware or cross origin resource sharing checker, so in order to just make sure only the verified front end should connect with the backend. And there is global API rate limiter I have used for every request. It is actually counted. I guess it's like it's set to 100 APIs per, maybe per 1 hour. I am not very much sure, but it's something like this. I have set it. And there are like some basic configuration which are set, that is view engine configuration. I am using EGS. For logger I am using Winston and Morgan. And there is this basic cookie and parsing settings. BullMQ, okay, there is also one more configuration that is done for BullMQ dashboard in order to how many tasks are in, let's say in or like in scheduled or delayed. So there are like various status of the jobs which are currently in background. So this is also, there is also Swagger configuration, but as I am not using very much it. Mostly I am using Postman API collections. There is also few middlewares which is not applicable for all the endpoints, but for some of them it's applicable. Let's say for strict API rate limiter, these are like for highly sensitive routes, those endpoints, sorry, which include, let's say, reset password, right? So those type of endpoints I have, for them I have used strict API rate limiter. Mostly, if I am not wrong, for that I have set it close to, I think, 4 or 5 requests per I guess per 5 hours, something like this. And there's Zod middleware for validation of the input. And there is Google reCAPTCHA middleware that's used on some screen, let's say for sign up API. And there is auth middleware. Most of the endpoints are protected. And there is also file upload middleware. File upload middleware is only, I guess used only at two places. One is for uploading your profile photo, and second is when we upload an attachment. And then the control reads to the actual controller, in which I have written the logic what to do. And for every request, for every response which you get from the backend, there will be only two types. Either it will be like success type of response, or it will be like error type of response. So that in order to standardize, the front end should ideally know what kind of response I will get. So I will also show the demo of it in the code as well. So if you see, let me go here and so if you check this file, actually all those configurations are done here. So we have this. I have started app and I have used some middlewares. This is for cross origin resource sharing. This is view engine. This is logger setting. This is a basic configuration. This is cookie parser setting. This is I guess, yes, this one BullMQ dashboard, because for the production DB I have disabled it. This is Swagger configuration. This is the endpoint for viewing the Swagger UI dashboard. And this is to standardize the whole APIs. I have used this. Let's say it will be like base URL / API / v1. Mostly I have used only v1 router as of now. This is a global error handler. Let me go here. And in this, mostly there are like two types, two more routers. That is this auth route and user router. So if you see, if you let me go here as well. Okay, one more thing, that is which I was talking about, that is the standardization of errors or error responses or success responses. If you see, if I let's say search this, if You see, it's showing it's 29 results, right? And if you search standard API error, so again I have used this API so that the front end will always know what kind of response I will get, even if it's either success response or it's error response. So all this was actually related to this diagram, related to this diagram. And let me go here. The next I will discuss this one, the whole architecture of the production. For production I'm using EC2 instance. Okay, let me show that as well. Let me SSH in the EC2. So if you see, these are the two containers which are running here, right? So this is what you are seeing. So in EC2 instance I'm running the Docker, which is running the container, and actually which is running the backend. And in backend I'm using this Redis. Actually Redis is used by BullMQ internally, and for DB I have used MongoDB. Okay, let me show that as well. The Redis, not this, the Redis cloud. The Redis in memory DB, which is used internally by BullMQ to store some metadata. Let's say for example I am scheduling an email for after 2 days or after 1 month, where that data will persist for some time. So BullMQ is using internally the Redis DB. So this is one architecture. This is this, and let me move to here first. And in production, because for production I'm not using the paid services, so it will be little different. So in this what happens, let's say this is my local host, let's say this is my laptop or system. On that actually I'm running the Docker, and from that Docker I'm actually creating a one backend image container which is running on my local host. And there are like several services. One is for backend service, which is an actual express server, and this is a Mongo service. For that I'm using Mongo image, which is running at port 270.182, which, and for Docker, which is it's using 27017 port. Same for the Redis, it's using 6379, and for Redis Insights is actually for visualizing the Redis DB. Although we can use Redis CLI as well, but I'm using Redis Insight. And in order to persist that data, because I don't want to lose that data, otherwise what will happen once the container stops, all the data for the MongoDB will get cleared. So in order to persist, I have also attached the volume in it. Okay, let me show and in order to communicate for all these services, it should be like connected with one network. Okay, let me show this as well. So if you see, there will be like 4 files. This Docker file, Docker prod file, Docker compose, and Docker compose prod. Let me move it here. This is for the development environment. Okay, let me start with production, because this is very, very simple. I'm building an Docker image and just simply running this because I'm using the peer services, let's say MongoDB, Atlas, and Redis Cloud. So because of that, I don't need other like services for this. And for development, I am building an image, and these are like some of the services. Let's say this Mongo service, which is using this volume, and I'm also running this Redis and Redis inside for GUI purpose. And this is the backend image, which is the actual Express backend server. And this is because I wanted first these to run, and only after that I want this to run. And what this is, it is actually, let's say I have started my container, and let's say I'm changing the code because I want first to like rebuild the whole image. Otherwise, the change will not reflect live on the on your like on your like on the it will not show output. It will show the previously built image output. So this is for that purpose. And next, so this was one thing, and next is this whole CI/CD process, how actually it is implemented. So I have used GitHub Actions for that purpose. As of now, I am using on push on dev branch. Ideally, for the production DB, it should not be like this. It should be maybe on push in merge, or on merge in on push in main branch, or something like this. And as of now, I have not used Jenkins as well. Maybe, and there is also no test cases as well. But for maybe for the production DB, the whole CI/CD process will be different. But as of now, for this project, I have used this. So first of all, there will be like two runners I am using. That's one is self-hosted runner and GitHub hosted runners. For CI process, I have used GitHub hosted runners. What that will do? First, it will check out the source code so that it has access to my repo code, and then it will log in on Docker Hub using via CLI and build an image, and then simply push the image on Docker Hub. And only after this pipeline is completed, after that I will trigger this CD pipeline will trigger what it will, and this is running on the AWS EC2 instance. What it will do is it will pull the image from Docker Hub, and it will remove the existing container and rerun the container. So for that, you can refer these files, the workflow files. You can refer these files. GitHub, CI by YAML, and CD YAML. If you see, it's on dev branch on push. It's the like GitHub hosted runner. It will check out, it will log in on Docker Hub, it will build an image, it will push the image on Docker Hub. And again, only after this will trigger, right? So if you see, I have written here workflow CI pipeline type completed. So it will only execute once this is completed. And this is a self-hosted runner, right? And what it will do, it will pull the image from the Docker Hub. It will remove the existing running container on AWS EC2 instance, and it will again run the container on EC2 instance. As of now, I am passing the variables, ARP variables like this, but maybe later I'm looking some way to change it a little bit. I want like some third party integration. Maybe AWS also provides that. I will see that later. So, and I'm just doing some cleanup. So this is the whole CI/CD process. So this is done, and next is this one. Okay, let me first start with discuss this. This is very simple. So initially, what was happening, if you have noticed, email. If you have noticed, there is one this receive update or confirmation email. The thing is, who will receive the confirmation email? Let's say I have added 5 SMTP credentials, right? So the acknowledgement should be back sent to which to these email IDs or to, let's say, this email ID from which you have signed up. So initially I was actually sending acknowledgement back to these email IDs from which you are sending the email, but later I have changed actually to from which you have signed up, only that will receive the acknowledgement. So this is actually, that's why I have actually mentioned it separately. So this is same thing. Let's say you have signed up from this email ID xyz@domain.com. You have 5, let's say, SMTP credentials of different email IDs, and you have, let's say, sent to email to this, but acknowledgement will be sent back to this if your email ID is successfully sent or not, if you have opted for that, obviously. And okay, let me show also one more thing, that is how this whole flow is actually running. Because I am using BullMQ, it's little different. If you have not used queues to system previously, you can think of it's like similar to, it's an alternate to cron jobs. So what will happen, let's say you are like, this is the post endpoint for like scheduling an email. Let's say you have triggered and scheduled an email. Let's say what it will do, it will retrieve your credentials from DB, and it will generate that HTML body, and it will send you response back 200 email scheduled successfully, because all the emails will not be synchronously sent. It will be first put in the queue, because which I was previously talking about, that is we can scale horizontally. It will be added in the queue. If let's say I wanted to send it right now, in that case obviously the delay will be 0, it will right away get executed. But let's say if there is some delay, let's say you wanted to send it for tomorrow, there will be some delay in that case. So let's say we have like several jobs, or like for that queue, which is for that worker which is actually executing the jobs from the queue. So the data, BullMQ is internally using Redis to store the metadata, which I have already previously shown. Okay, let me show the DB as well. This is Redis inside client. This is my cloud DB. This all data is actually used by BullMQ to schedule emails. So the data is actually fetched from here. Let's say one job is actually processed. Maybe let's say delay is 0, or right now I want to execute that. So what it will do, it will retrieve the asset attachments from AWS S3 if there is any. It will create and transport, because you have already added your credentials, right? And it will send that email to that person which you want to send. So this is one thing. This is just the very brief overview, otherwise it's technically in detail. And let me move it. Next, okay. Okay, this is done, 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 this is done also. Okay, one more thing. Let me move to first here. This is done. GitHub project code. Okay, yes, you can refer this as well for checking. Check this one. GitHub project code. You can refer this board as well in order to check if some task is in progress. I'm using this GitHub board to track the tickets I am working on, or like let's say on this ticket I have to work later in the future. This was the first ticket on which I have worked. I think yes, this one, for setting up the whole project. Let's say I have to set TS node, because I am not using the JavaScript. If you have noticed, I have used Express with TypeScript. This is really, let's say, setting up the controllers, model routers, or DB or version-based directory structure, because it's one of the core functionality. Because if it's wrong, then the whole project will get messed up. Dockerizing the backend and the front end. Let's say setting up the Postman. I will also show that as well. The Postman API collections. Setting up, let's say, API error, the standard. I was talking about the standardization of the responses. This setup of the Swagger and logger, setting up the loggers, helmet for security purpose for AWS SDK, rate limiting, let's say user agent parsers, and these types of other information. Prometheus and Grafana are New Relic I am thinking about for monitoring, because as of now I am not using anything for monitor, but mostly as of now for this project I don't need, but in the production DV we need. Really, it's very important to have monitoring of the system. And this is for the front end. I have used Tailwind configuration, let's say setting up flavors or env variables, segregating the admin modules, because in the front end I am also using the modules in order to lazy load other modules. I have one is, I think one module is gets load when you are for the guest user, and as soon as you log in there is another module, and if you are admin user there will be another module which gets loaded. Otherwise, let's say if you have not logged in, then all these modules will not get loaded. Setting up the NgRx, which was the most time taking process for the front end. Setting up, let's say, guards, interceptors or services, etc. Maybe there may be more configuration I have done in the front end. Let's say setting up the sanitary, I have also planning, let's say, not at least as of now, but after some time I may add the sanitary as well. And this is a, let's say, common task, because that's initializing the, okay, you can just ignore this. Setting up the prettier or path aliasing. This is also one of the most important thing, at least for me. Setting up the this TS link. These are as of now in progress. So I think only just this one setup, I think it took me around more than 1 or 2 weeks, along with my regular SDA job. I was mostly working few hours only a day, and there are other tickets as well. So you can track this in order to check if something I am working on currently. So this is done. And Postman API collection and Docker. Okay, for Postman you can refer this. Actually, the link for that is here. Postman collection. This is a API collection. Let's say this is P1. These are the user. These are the all the APIs I'm using for credentials. Let's say for email templates. Let's say for attachments. In auth. Okay, this for admin and super admin it is empty as of now. And for Docker you can refer these images. This is for the backend, and there is also one more image actually which is running on the front end. For front end I'm using this. Okay, this is also done. These two. Okay, there are actually 3 ways to run this whole project. Let me show that as well. There are actually 3 ways. One is, okay, let me open terminal. One is using this package. If you see, there are few scripts. So one is, if you run this and you can run ts node dev, tsnd, ts node dev, it will run backend, but it will not run using dockerized container. So let me show that as well, because mostly most of the for the development I don't need Docker container. It's little time taking process. If you don't have good PC, it will take some time for you to, because we have already there is not JavaScript. We have to convert TypeScript to, we have to compile from TypeScript to JavaScript, and then we have to build an image, and let's say there is something, then we have to regenerate the image. So that's little time taking process. Ideally most of the time in development I don't use that, but for just sometimes I use that as well for development purpose. So one is this one. Let's say if okay, let me show my Docker as well. This is a Docker. Let's say if you see there is no image running, right? So at least first I should keep this Redis running. If you see Redis is running, and let's say if I run this, I run this, you will see no container will run. For this there will be no container, right? And let me show to you that backend is actually running, right? Server is connected, is running on port 3000. This is one way. And the second way is if you want to run the backend using development environment, right? This is also the development environment, but this is without dockerized container. So for that purpose you can, let me stop it first. Redis. So for that purpose what you can do, you can use this npm run up. Though it's basically docker compose up. So if you run, okay, let me show my docker as well. If you see, no container is running, right? And let me, if I run this, it will build an image also using those docker file or like docker compose file. So if you see now, one container is running, right? So this is second way, but currently this is also using the development environment, not the production environment. But there is also one way in which you can run the production using production environment in your local machine. Down it. So for that purpose you can use this npm run up prod. Now this will run using the production environments. So if you see again, the backend is started, and same is for the front end. And just one more thing which you have to like take care, that is if you are running the front end, let's say if you are running the backend in development, the front end should also run in the development environment, using development environment. Otherwise there are like some queues, at least for reCAPTCHA, which will get mismatched, or there is a like, okay, let me show the file. Source environments, sorry, not this one. If you are running, let's say the backend, if you are running the backend in the development environment or like production environment, you should make sure this is also running in the same. And one more case, if you are running production, if you are running backend in your local machine using production env, you have to change this. It should be like, in that case, localhost, right? And this should match with the private key in backend. It should not happen, in one word, it should not happen that at front end you are running the development, and in production, for backend you are, let's say, okay, let me repeat it again. It should not happen that front end you are running using development environment, and backend you are running using production environment. Otherwise it will mismatch. It will get mismatched. So this is one thing I hope you have understood. Next is, okay, this is done 3 ways. There are 3 ways. Overview of an Angular setup, NgRx, reducers and effects. Let me run the front end first. So this is the front end, and in order to check the BullMQ dashboard which I was talking about, okay, I need to first start the backend as well. For Redis, I need to start Redis. Yes, now it should work. So if you see, it will show the status of the queues. Currently I am using only one email queue. Let's say if I schedule a job for, let's say, tomorrow, then there will be one in delayed status. And then, okay, let me show that as well quickly. Okay, not here, I need to go here. Let's sign in. Okay, the email is wrong. Let me quickly schedule one email. Let's say I will schedule it for this gmail.com. Let's say schedule. So now the template, the metadata will get, it will show here. It will show here. You can see now one job is, there is one job, it should be in delayed, right? This color, and you can see the metadata as well. This is the data which will remain in queue, and only at the specified time the worker will execute this job. And in order to, let's say if you want to check it from here using your Redis Insight, you just wanted to connect with this. Let's say I will go back here, and let's say I will connect here. So you will see the data is here, I think here. Yes, this is the data. Yes, this data. This is the data which is used, which is stored in Redis. BullMQ is, you can think of BullMQ is internally using the Redis DB. Anyone? Okay, let me first continue on this. Overview of Angular, right? Okay, so okay, there is also one more thing, that is in order to check the okay, yes, in order to check the store data, you can install this Redux extension. So if I, let's say, select here, let me log out first, sign in. Okay, not sure why it's not showing the user data. Ideally it should show that as well. Okay, I will see why it's not showing all the data. I think okay, yes, I need to select here state. So if you see, this is the data. Okay, so this is the data which is actually stored in Redux. So this is one thing, and if you are aware of Redux, then it will be very easy for you to understand the NgRx. And at least for, if you are at least in NgRx, you should know at least some of the operators, at least few common operators. Let's say filter, switch map, map tab, catch error is also one of the important thing, at least for this, or combine latest, etc. These are the few like operators at least you should be aware from NgRx library. Okay, let me just show the demo of this. So most of the code is actually done in effects. In effect, let's say this is one effect. Let's say sign in effect, and I'm listening for this action dot auth actions dot sign in, and I'm also, one more thing, I'm using or exhaust map. Maybe you can use a merge map or anything else, but exhaust map is, I think, the good option, because I don't want anything to happen until that particular API completes. And then again, on success, it is using, it is sure it's triggering this again, this other action, and in case of error, it's triggering this sign in failure. I will not go into this detail how this whole thing is written, but at least you should know basic, you should have basic idea of NgRx, sorry, RxJS and Redux, in order to understand how this whole NgRx works. So this is done, and overview of the backend explicit, it's already done. Demo scheduling, Demo scheduling email workflow. It's already done. Demo CI/CD workflow. It's not needed, but it's the same thing. I have to just spend the I have to make sure that runners on the EC2 instance or are in running state, and as soon as I will push, it will automatically trigger that. For that, you can refer these screenshots. Let's say you can refer snapshots. You can refer these screenshots. You can refer these screenshots. The CI/CD process is completely running. I just have to push the code and it will automatically get deployed within like one minute. It will get deployed automatically. Okay, just this is important. env.example file. Let me open env. This one. Okay, let me just quickly discuss this. This is a token expiry for maybe for access token, right? This is not the correct values in this. The actual correct values are in these files in dev env and for prod env. This is for just for your reference. In case you want to like, let's say if you want to like ignore some of the IPs, and this is the rate limiter. Let's say this one. This is the 100. Okay, this is like 100 API calls per 5 minutes, and for let's say for stricter it's like 10 calls per 300 minutes. This is the access key for AWS S3, and this is the expiry of, this should be expiry of pre-signed URL. If you see this one, let me first add some. I will go into the setting and let me add some attachment. And if you see the URL, this, because the my bucket is private bucket, so I have used pre-signed URLs. If I, or let's say even if I check the store, if you see the URL, this is the pre-signed URL, this one. Or you can check for more, you can check this store as well. It's inside user or in auth current user. This is our like pre-signed URL. In file, this is the bucket name, region, script key, cross origin, the URL of the frontend, MongoDB URI for DB, email sender. Yes, this is for, these are this email service. This is for the email service you are using for sending promotionally, for sending like, let's say for sending some transaction or promotional emails. These are the credentials for them. As of now, I'm using the Bravo, or you can use anything else. Okay, let me show that as well just quickly. Let's say I'm here. I will use, let's say this, sign out. I will go here, sign in. Let me show directly Bravo in order to just quickly wrap up things. Bravo. So if you see, this is the logs, and it will show you. These are some of the emails which is actually sent by Bravo. And this is the express port base URL GeoAPI file. Okay, let me show that as well, which is used for generating the static map image with custom marker. GeoAPI file, this one. If you can see, I have it will show some stats. I have used some credits. This is a token of it. IP info again for accessing the details of the IP. For this you can use you can refer this IP info. For this one it's actually token of this IP info. Node env, this is one. Google key captcha, okay, yes, the private key of the Google key captcha. You can see I am using two. You can see I am using this Google key captcha as well. This is a private key of the Google key captcha. One is in frontend and another is at backend. So let's see if you let me show some. I think there should be some stats as well from last 90 days. So you will see this is for the production server, and I think the production one is little stricter. Okay, I think I should go into the setting, but you get the idea. This is the Redis host. This is a port of the Redis. So if you are using Redis Cloud DB, you need to set these. And obviously my Redis DB has password. Refresh token expiry, I don't know if it's like 2 days or something, but it will be like more stricter in production environment. Refresh token secret, and obviously it will not be this salt rounds, how many salt rounds I want for like generating the hash. So hopefully I have covered almost all the things, and I hope I have not wasted my and your time as well. Thank you.